Delighted to say our first interview with Pete Russell, DEL2 champion, promoted with GB and now coach of the Cardiff Devils. Pete, welcome. How does that sound?
It's pretty cool. It's been a crazy season, how it started in Augsburg, and then to finish the way we have is just, sometimes when you work hard, things go right, and I guess that showed me that just sticking with it, you know, and Ravensburg was great. That was an unbelievable journey in the end. Crazy playoff series, 5.5 weeks, I think it was 18, 19 games, and then 2 days later back in a plane to the national team, and Corey and Chuck and Ewan had done a great job before I got there, and then to step in there and they showed me the respect to just go in there and do my job, and yeah, that was an unbelievable experience again for the second time. We end up in Pool A, and it makes me smile when I think of that. You know, it's
so
really cool, you know, like for our country and for the boys, you know, and all the off-ice staff and everybody that helps there to make the tournaments happen. It's just, yeah, it's something I'll never forget. And I think, you know, just thinking about the picture at the end with the families, you know, my wife and daughter at last got to come to something, so I've been away for 5 years, and seeing the other kids and the wives and the families on there was just amazing.
Let's, before we turn our attention to the Cardiff Devils, it was a lovely message you sent out to Ravensburg yesterday. You said it was your hockey happy place. You won a championship there, great organisation around you. Just a final word from you on that organisation.
Yeah, because that's a big hit for them, they said. When I asked, I said I was going to use the out clause. You know, I was smiling every day I was there. 2 years was awesome. I went away to the DL in between, but we beat in the final the year before, and then this year we come back. When I got the chance to go back, there was unfinished business, and no one expected it. And I just had a belief in the players there and the people that run the club. And they were just awesome to my family and me. They always supported me. There was never mass pressure. I guess we're playing well, so there was no mass pressure, but they wanted to win. And I think to win was awesome, but then 2 days later to drop that on them. And it was a face-to-face meeting with all the owners, and I told them face-to-face I wanted to be transparent. And I did cite that it was a big family decision as well, and also it was a great opportunity to come to Cardiff. Like, you know, that's one of the prestige jobs in the UK, and it's 1 hour and 5 minutes from where my wife and daughter live, and life balance is fantastic for me, you know, and it helps us get the next house we want, all the little things, you know, in life that people don't think about outside of sport. Everybody thinks it's just sport, but yeah, Ravensburg was, you know, sometimes they say you shouldn't get married twice to the same woman. And when I went there, I kind of done that, and people were questioning it. And I think when you've got the right mix between the owners, the GM, the coach, and the players, and the staff, and the fans, good things can happen. And that's what we created there. The culture was that. So yeah, maybe one day later in life, if I go back there, maybe if they want me back, maybe they don't now.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. But hopefully we keep you here for a while. You were honest enough to say family decision was a big part in this, and very much respect you for that. But also, I suppose, if it was a 9th, 10th place team, perhaps not quite the same attraction. Cardiff Devils is a big name in British ice hockey. How does it feel to be the head coach?
Yeah, for sure. I worked in Cardiff 20 years ago when I was a stupid young boy, do you know what I mean? And I probably wasn't ready for that at the time. I think I'm ready now. I'm looking forward to it. I like Todd. You know, we talked quite a lot in the last couple of years, got to know him a little bit better every time I seen him. He was always listening to GBs, big promoter of it, likes the British player. And Cardiff is just, you know, everybody knows the passion in this country, you know, and I like that, being a Scotsman, you know, and hopefully my passion can rub off on them as well, and rub off on the team, and we put a team together that plays that way. I think it's important that I know the identity the fans want, and I think they know how my teams play now, and that's what we're going to put in place here.
Well, for those maybe who haven't watched the GB games, you talk about that identity, how your teams play. There was a lot of short shifts, quick game, getting in on the forecheck. But what can Cardiff Devils fans expect to see from a Pete Russell team?
Yeah, I think playing fast, you know, no slow play, being aggressive with and without the puck. You talked about getting on the forecheck. I think in hockey you have to establish a forecheck. There's a lot of offense to be created off it. You tire teams out, and I think we want to be relentless. You know, and you touched on the quick shifts. We want to make sure we use our bench 100%, so we get the best out of players. And then we do cut sometimes. The guys are fresh and ready to take over a game. But yeah, I think hard, skilled, fast, aggressive, probably relentless, you know, and disciplined. I think that's the big thing. Disciplined in the system and disciplined in their actions.
You come into a club, and I'm not going to ask you certainly about predictions, far from it. I've been warned not to anyway. But a club with expectations. it's got to be exciting to come into a club that expects to win.
Yeah, I wouldn't have came here if I didn't expect that. I've been lucky the last 6-7 years in my hockey careers went kind of up the way, and there was a lot of good success in there. Maybe success people don't notice because there's not a championship at the end. And then with the national team, we've done really well, climbing the ladder and winning some medals here and there. And then with Ravensburg, 2 finals in 2 years and tough playoff series, and I think that's what I want to be involved in. I don't want to coach a 10th place team. I loved Augsburg. It was a wonderful experience in the DL. They kept me as long as they could. With too many 1-goal games, it went the wrong way. But that was more pressure than coaching a team that you want to win every night. I think my character is pretty demanding. People probably think it is something it's not. I'm just demanding in players. You know, I want the best and I want to win every night, or at least look to win every night. And I think my personality suits the UK League.
So we're always, and Dan, who's with me, does a lot of commentary, and we talked about this. We always admire the fact of players that go away to Europe to learn their experience, particularly maybe at a younger age. For a coach, you took yourself out of your comfort zone. You've gone and been really successful. What was the story about that? Why did you want to go and challenge yourself in mainland Europe?
You know, the funny thing was my wife had cancer at the time, and she said to me one day when the offer was there, I was in Glasgow and I'd done a deal with Neil and Gareth to go back, and I love Neil Black, do you know what I mean? He was great to me, and so was Gareth Chalmers, and Glasgow were great to me, and that's where I was born. And when the chance to go to Germany came up, we just thought it was a good opportunity for me to try and grow as a coach and a person. We knew we were going to be apart, but I wanted to see if I could become a better coach and experience different hockey. And so I took the opportunity. You know, in Freiburg, we're a 14th place team, and they become a 3rd place team 2 years in a row. The players were great there, the club was great city. And I think I was just improving as a coach. I think I just went in there when no one knew me, and I just tried to develop myself, and I thought, I've got an idea of how I want to play, I'm just going to do it and see if it works. And it worked, do you know, and I think now, being a coach, you kind of come with a toolbox, you know, and I think I've got a toolbox now. I think I know what I want. I think I know how to get it out of players, and I think that I get players to play above what they are most of the time.
I ask this, and it's a weird question to ask, and I ask it respectfully because you've absolutely proved yourself with GB and in Europe. Your experiences in the Elite League so far, a youngster in Cardiff as I think assistant coach Dave Whistle, obviously MK and Glasgow, decent output, but do you feel you have a little bit to prove in your own domestic league?
For sure, I want to win. British coach in a sport that's full of North Americans and imports, and I think Digger's the only British coach in the league right now. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's 2 now. I'd like to prove to people that week in, week out in my own country that I can do something that would make me happy, and to share it with my family and friends would be a good thing as well, because they've missed all the really good things, I think. Do you know? And I think that would be a big thing, and there's nowhere better than to do it than here. Do you know what I mean? It's team's been good. They've just maybe a bit unlucky at times, and maybe we get a bit more luck this time.
You've just come off GB. You probably deserve a holiday at some stage. You've won DEL too. But for the fans, what does your summer look like now? You know, you're having a look around the arena today. You've had the delicious banana bread that Katrina baked, all the important stuff. Fans are going to be interested in recruitment and all that kind of thing. What does your summer look like now?
Yeah, I think it's just assessing the team of what they are. Trying to retain the players we want to retain, which is, it's not easy. You know, there's been some really good players here this year that there's probably interest in Europe, I would imagine. So we got to see where we are. What we need is a player and a person to fit into the identity of the team. And it's going to be a long summer working with Todd and Neil to try and bring it all together. But that's part of the fun, you know, and the hardest work's in the summer if you get the right people and the product's better, and then we can get the fans off their seats and hopefully we put a game on that they want to watch.
So in terms of that process, will you go back now and watch game tape of the Devils from last year? Obviously, you know a lot of the players. In terms of references, that's probably quite easy for you, your connections. But will you go back now and say, look at 10 or 15 games of the Devils and kind of pick out what works for you and maybe what doesn't work for you?
Yeah, I probably watched Cardiff, Sheffield and Nottingham and Belfast more than any team last year. Every Saturday night was my Elite League night because we played Friday, Sunday. So I watched a lot of the games. You know, I know how good some of the players are. You know that you're smiling, you know the players I mean. And I also know where I think the team has to be strengthened. You know, and it's going to be the hard work to try and retain it and then add to it. You know, that's the most important thing. But I think we want a certain type of player here.
Fans will kill me if I don't ask this question, but I'll ask it in a general sense. Of course, special teams one of the most important aspects of hockey. The power play perhaps didn't click as well as it could have done last season. I guess that's something you want to address and make sure that's a key weapon in the arsenal for the Devils next year.
For sure, special teams are huge. You know, in the Kellen on the PP, I think confidence was down a little bit here as the season went on. That happens in teams. I've been quite fortunate the last few years with my PP and PK, and we'll work hard at that. But again, you can be the best coach in the world. You need the pieces to make it happen and the balance in it. And we've got to try and find the right people to make that work. And also the guys that were on it before, if they come back, making sure they know what we're looking for. Do you know? And I think it's breaking the PP down a little bit from the top of the zone, tacking downhill, or where there's low zone plays, or where we're second and third, fourth efforts off rebounds. I think it's just habits. But I think confidence, people don't see it when they're not scoring. They start forcing plays or shooting from the wrong angle, or you know, guys are coming out of positions to try and help and they don't have to. And I think we just got to grow confidence. I think that's the most important thing. And the best way to grow confidence is if they start scoring goals in the special teams. That definitely helps.
I'm not going to ask you about recruitment because you're only 17 minutes into the building, but I am going to ask you about a guy who's going to be part of your off-ice team next year. He's part of your team at GB, Ewan King. Maybe flew under the radar a little bit in Cardiff last year, does a lot of video work, excellent net mining coach. I know Ben Bounds raves about him. He's going to come back on board with you.
Yeah, he's going to be one of the three. There'll be three of us. The other one we haven't found yet, but Ewan, great guy. He's very good with the computer. Yeah, he knows how I work and what I want from video, and he's going to be a massive help because you've got to share the load. Do you know, I think as a head coach, I've learned being away when you have a staff, you've got to lean on them. You've got to get them involved. They've got to feel they're championing their area. I think it's important that you're just not doing everything yourself, that you trust people, and I trust Ewan massively, not just with the goalies. He's got a good eye for the game, and he's very, very, very good with video, so that's a big help for me and whoever else comes, because I think it's a lot of workload if you're doing it all on your own. So we want to make sure that we stay as fresh as we can for the players and make sure we give them all the information we need, whether that's teaching, whether it's pre-scouting, you know, whatever it is, whether it's review. We just want to make sure we have every little part covered that we can make a good job here.
Two more quick questions, because I think Todd's going to take you to another meeting in a second. I always get one old school question in, because you are old school. We were talking off camera, up in air, the old Air Raiders. You maybe shared a stall or sat next to a certain Mr. Gretzky?
Yeah, there was a lot of players. I was only 14, 15, but yeah, I used to sit next to him. You know, there's some great players in those teams. You know, you're laughing about Danny Shea, Cyril,
Yeah.
you know, Frank Morris. Guys I looked up to, John Kidd, Bernie McCrone, Alistair Reid, Colin McAfee, Colin Wilson, Gary Smith. You know, they make me laugh because it was a fun team to be on. Even as a kid, they looked after you, and they were a great bunch of people. I still keep in touch with a lot of those guys, you know, and it's quite interesting. They probably think it's how the hell's he became what he's became as a coach. I think that's what they think.
Did you learn any coaching tips off Rocky Saganook? That's one for the old people.
Yeah, well, Rocky was great to the young guys. You know, them all just got on with it, but I think what I remember from them and Don Edwards and him was how they tried to change the culture. You know, they tried to make it more professional, and Rocky went to Peterborough. They became the champions in the playoffs. I remember that year as well. He took Danny Shea with him, Scott O'Connor, everybody like that. But I think I think the big thing is just, I never lose my old-fashioned part. I think I've grew up a lot in the last 25 years, a massive amount growing up, and I think I'm more studious than I was before, and I think I get my point across a little bit better now. The passion's still there, but I think I know how to, you know, think, timing and tone. I think I've learned those three things a little bit better. But yeah, you know, great memories. Yeah. You know, when I go back, I still go for a beer with Kidder and
really.
Everybody. Yeah, he's good friends with my mum and dad, so every time I go back, I go for a beer with Kidder.
He was an angry man. Don't mess with John.
Lovely man. Do you know, he's gentle.
Gentle giant. I did promise that would be the penultimate question. There are two more I want to ask you. I've seen a lot of comments on social media about the fact that with your experience of Europe, your experience of GB, and of course your connections in hockey, people excited about your connections when it comes to recruitment. And again, I'm not asking you about recruitment, but you have a network there of people you can tap into.
For sure, you know, and it's just about attracting the right people to your club. You're not going to get every player you want. You can't keep every player you want to keep. You're not in control of those things. So it's just about looking for the right players, you know, and I'd like to try and get a little bit younger if we can. But it's not easy to attract those players to the UK just now. They all want to go to mainland Europe, but it's a long summer. You know, I think people have to be patient, you know, and we want to try and put a team together that can come and play hard every night and fast. You know, we want that. And we still have some great players here in multi-year deals. Do you know what I mean? We have a really good Brit pack, you know, and I think we're fortunate with that. Younger guys, older guys, you know, you think about Bounds, Richardson, Duggan, Waller's exciting, do you know what I mean? He's really young, and, you know, you still get Benny Davis and everybody, and there's a real, you know, Batchy and that, there's a real core of Brits, and we want to add on top of that, you know, and make that a great base for the culture and bring something new to it.
You've just announced 10 signings there. We'll check that with Todd later that we can put that out, but I hope so. I'm making up questions now, and I did promise we'd end this. Is it going to be a different coach, Pete Russell, to the British guys at Cardiff Devils, seeing him every day, seeing him week in, week out, than Coach Pete Russell when they go to GB?
No, I just think what you see is what you get. I don't think I'm arrogant. I think I'm just black or white, and I think I've always been like that. And it's just like, I can have a lot of fun, but when it comes to work, I want people to work. You know, I want us to come every day and work hard, whether that's for 2 hours or 4 hours, whatever the schedule is. I just want us to be honest, you know, and give ourselves the best chance, because the best times in hockey are when you win. Mm-hmm. And you don't win without hard work, and we've got a big challenge on our hands. You know, Belfast are the benchmark for everybody. You know, that's the bottom line of it. I'm sure in Sheffield they're saying the same. I'm sure in Guildford they're saying the same. I'm sure in Nottingham they're saying the same. Coventry, all these teams. But we've got to look at that benchmark, and we've got to pull them back in a little bit. This is the final question, I promise. I'm putting you on the spot. A message to leave the Cardiff Devils fans with? Yeah, I'm delighted to be here. I'm going to give everything. Every team I coach, I give everything. You know, I'm sure if there's patience, we're going to play a different kind of hockey. It takes a little bit of time. I say that every club I go to, but it works in the end. And we want to create an identity that everybody knows when they come in to play Cardiff Devils. It's going to be uncomfortable. Pete, we're delighted to have you here. Welcome aboard, and we look forward to talking to you as the summer goes on. Thank you.